Hey everyone, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle here with you. We're going to talk about some storms that are going on out there this evening, and we're also going to talk about your forecast for tomorrow, which has more storms in it. So thanks for joining me and tuning in. So keep in mind that I typically cover severe weather when we're talking about tornadoes, and I've watched some of the comical coverage, let's just say, of some of the terms that were used. So what I'm going to do is kind of address that first, and then we're going to get into reality. So thanks for watching. So what we'll do is also talk about the forecast for tomorrow, which actually has a little bit more of a better shot of actually seeing tornadoes versus tonight. Tonight should just be hail. There was one tornado warning in effect from the National Weather Service for Elk City a long time ago, but it's because the radar beam cannot see down low level, and it was more of a safety precaution. Tornado didn't amount to anything, and nothing since then has amounted to that. These storms are what we call high base storms, and they're going to have some wall clouds with them, no doubt. And they're going to try to get a little bit more moisture that'll reach down a little lower just because of the precipitation development, the hail, and all that kind of stuff. And yes, they're going to rotate. 9 times out of 10, storms here in Oklahoma City rotate, or Oklahoma itself, during the springtime because we have shear in the atmosphere, and that necessarily doesn't mean anything other than there are going to be some healthy thunderstorms. Now, the degree of the rotation indicates the threat that they will contain, but there are other factors that have to come into play. You have to have enough low-level moisture, which, and tonight's deal, we do not have. We have what we call anemic moisture, which is it's very dry at certain levels, the lower levels of the atmosphere, which creates these storms to become high-based. When they're high-based, they really can't produce tornadoes very well. But they can certainly spin. So if you see the word or hear the word spinning and rotation and hook echo, it means nothing other than the fact that it is a supercell type storm and that it will produce some hail. So that is the correlation with those terms, not to be correlated with tornadic development. Tomorrow is a better shot for that, and we're going to get to that here in a minute. All right, so I want to make sure that everything was rolling. Let me check a couple of things first. I think everything is good. Hey, Jody, do me a favor, and if you see something that's not right, just kind of let me know. Okay. All right. The what is? Okay. So we'll figure that out here. So the got some new stuff going on the graphic side, and sometimes they don't play exactly well together. They don't play nice together. All right, so let's get on with it. So first off, we have some storms here in central Oklahoma. Southwest of Oklahoma City, down toward Mustang, had a pretty good thunderstorm earlier, but it's kind of fizzled around the town of Tuttle. We've still got one going up around Kogar, Spring Creek, and Binger. So a good little thunderstorm here with this one. And this is in these range of the short distance of the high resolution radar. So we get a good look at these. And yes, there has been a couple of wall clouds, and a lot of these are non-rotation type wall clouds, aka a lowering. Doesn't necessarily mean much other than the fact the storms are healthy. Let me see. What we're going to do is if you look out to the west along I-40, from Binger, Colony, Cordell, Elk City, all the way to the Texas Panhandle, you can see this line of storms that kind of hugs along that region, is going to continue to kind of move to an east and kind of a southeastward track. So if you're watching here in Oklahoma City, what we're going to be concerned with will be some storms coming in overnight. The original threat for these in the time being are going to be south and west of town. So the train of this, is more or less in this corridor, all right, versus, say, up in this corridor. So that means the bulk of Oklahoma City is spared as far as anything crazy is concerned. So let me think here. Let's do this. Do something real quick. Try something. Let's do that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is take a look at a couple of these in more detail. So the issue that you have out here in southwest Oklahoma, or western Oklahoma itself, is that the radar is only going to be able to see up to a certain height. They can't see the very lowest levels. So when a radar sees rotation out here, it's going to see mid-level rotation, not the low-level kind. The low-level kind is what we'd be concerned with tornadoes. Oh, that was one thing I wanted to show you before I get into this. This is why I actually picked this view. All right, so this is a look at the VAD wind profile from central Oklahoma, the radar. What I want to tell you is the wind shear. And what you have here is a direction from the southeast at the surface, but it stays southeast all the way up to 7,000 feet, and then it shifts to the southwest, and the winds here are shifting around 20 knots. So in other words, this is a weakness in two areas. One is they don't turn with direction as you go with height soon enough. In other words, it takes them all up to 7,000 feet before they finally change directions. Two is they get weak around 20 knots. When they get weak around 20 knots, you get a very significant weakness in the mid part of the thunderstorm. So these two will help to alleviate or prevent tornadic development typically. You need better turning with height, and you need consistent speed shear. So those are two weaknesses that go against tornadoes. Now, they will be healthy, and with this shear, they will produce hail. So this is more of a hail shear profile than it is a tornadic type shear profile. So that's what the forecast is for tonight, is for these storms to be hail producers, and some large hail at that. We're talking up to baseball size. So now most of the storms have not been that big in the hail size, but there's been a couple. Elk City's probably had one of the strongest ones. They've got a report out here, looks like around 2.5 inches right around town from storm spotters reported. So you are going to get occasionally some pockets of pretty decent hail. All right. So let's move on to cover here. I'll switch radar views. I do want to see, because the problem with this is, let's see, this is going to be at 8,000 feet. Can't see a tornado at 8,000 feet. You can't even see low-level rotation at 8,000 feet. You can see plenty of mid-level. That, again, means nothing unless we're talking about hail size. So that's why I didn't do any cut-ins earlier this evening, is because we're in a hail-producing environment, not a tornado-producing environment. No matter how many people jump up and down wishing for one, that's not the way that works. Here's a look here at Hobart. Some heavy thunderstorms. Cordell, again, it's just a mess. These are they're kind of hybrid type supercell structures because of that weakness in the field. So there's gonna be a lot of splitting, a lot of regeneration, recycling of storm intensity, which is good because those obviously, the more they have to do that, the more disorganized they stay, which prevents the hail sizes from getting astronomical, like 4 inches, or more or something like that for long periods of time for many people. So we like to see that. All right, let me just look here real quick at the velocity data, see if anything gets my attention, and it does not yet. Okay, so nothing unexpected there. Okay, so if it sounds like, I'm not overly impressed with this, it's because I'm not when it comes to a tornado potential. Now tomorrow, like I said, we're going to talk about some things that may be of interest to you, and actually, I'd probably rather just do that now. Let me see. Let me see something. Okay. All right. So many things I gotta punch up, like, button-wise to make magic happen. So one of the other issues here on the sounding I talked about was the dry air. This is the temperature and dew point line on a sounding from 6 o'clock this evening in Norman. And the spread is very far apart. So a parcel of air, when it condenses, is way up here. I mean, we're talking several thousand feet up. So hence the high bases, and hence the lack of significant moisture in low levels is what I was talking about. So that was one of the deals. Let's clear that. Okay. Now, here's a look at the Storm Prediction Center. Let's go back one. This is actually for tomorrow. So this is for tonight. This yellow area, which covers pretty much a good chunk of all of central Oklahoma, some of eastern and western, is for those hailstorms tonight. And in this, the discussion points from the Storm Prediction Center just talk about the hail. They don't talk about tornadoes or anything like that. And there's a severe thunderstorm watch out, not a tornado watch, for that reason alone. All right, so let's go on into the next day. So this is Wednesday. So after the morning hours, so we're looking more like in the This is mainly focused for kind of like the midday to afternoon and evening time slot. So you can see a larger area, and this is enhanced severe weather here across a good area of Texas. Really from Houston, Bryan College Station is where the enhanced line stops, up to Tulsa, right along I-40 corridor, really. So anywhere around that box. And enhanced just means there's better expected outcome of more severe weather reports. In other words, more hail reports, more damaging wind reports. Maybe even, that's where the ideal tornado positions would be in that ring. Now we can take a look at the hail, by the way. This is the hail category. And let me zoom this in here real quick. All right, let's make this a little easier to see. So in the hail category, in red, most of that is out here where the eastern parts of Oklahoma. We do get a little bit of that significant hail here in central Oklahoma, but they're kind of focused more on the east. We're going to take a look at the model to see if that's going to hold. The wind is going to kind of match the hail. We took about the tornado, little slight change there. You can have this little 5% ring up around the I-40 corridor back in Oklahoma City, then point south toward Lawton, but still it's a the better area concern here over east central and southern Oklahoma in the city of Dallas-Fort Worth area for tornadoes tomorrow. All right, do something over here real quick. And then we're going to get to the model data here. We're going to show you where it looks like the best track of those type of storms will be. Let's see. So if you take a look at the National Weather Service here for tonight through tomorrow, they've got a look at this severe weather region here, kind of in a closer view, so you can see some of the cities outlined and the highways. And then as we head to tomorrow, you see how that kind of shifts south and east Oklahoma City. But they still got hail the size of baseballs, winds in excess of 60 to 80 miles per hour. But you do notice something different here. Tornado potential is medium. So do expect conditions favorable for that. All right, so let's go on to, I like the tech model when it comes to severe weather events. That's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be pretty decent. If you look at this track we've got tonight, this is tracking those hail producers. Now you see the red lines that follow with them. Those are from the supercell structures indicating rotation. So in other words, the rotational type storms, which they're supercells, so they're going to rotate, but they're also indicative of kind of like hail cores. All right, so you can see how most of those kind of just glance, the Oklahoma City metro area, we're kind of on the south and west of us, which is where they are now. So it's fairly good, but it kind of keeps it in that little quadrant of southwest Oklahoma. Overnight tonight, there's midnight moving, heading toward the Red River Valley. And then as we head on into tomorrow, this is where things get interesting. All right, so this model has a development right around 2 o'clock in the afternoon over the southern sides of Oklahoma City. All right, now on into, say, the Norman area, just north of Pauls Valley. So that's kind of a sweet spot that it's got for rotating thunderstorms. Now tomorrow, the shear profile will be a little more favorable for tornadoes. So this is concerning, but this would likely be the area where the typical, tornadic type storm would develop. Here on the south end of Oklahoma City, in the south central Oklahoma, and then those kind of moving east along that I-40 corridor, and then on into, say, McAllister area. So those will be the rotating storms for tomorrow. And remember, the threat for tomorrow is more of a tornado blend with the hail. Tonight's, again, just mainly hail with a little bit of wind with it. Okay, so that's a look at the tech model. I like the looks of that. We're going to look at the high-res NAM model, and I'll show you why that is. Here is a look. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a surface low develop and right here, basically over Oklahoma City. Okay, so that's going to pull in that moisture and kind of bring the winds together from a southeast and southwest direction on the south side of the low. So again, if you're wondering why I'm talking about the forecast for tomorrow and not covering storms tonight, well, because they're hail, and I've already told you that. How many more times can we jump them down and say hail? So until something changes, which I don't expect it to, that'll be the same answer. So we're going to focus on tomorrow, which is the tornado threat. Now, if we look at some soundings, and I pick, this is when you kind of pick the sweet spot to get the best dynamics of the best potential for our severe weather goes. and that would be just south of Oklahoma City, so not in the metro itself, but say just south of Norman, the way this model's showing it. Now it can always change a few miles, so you want to get too bogged down in those specifics. But what happens is it tells you that the potential is there for a tornado, which right there behind the head, that's a possible hazard type with a significant tornado at that. In other words, it would be on the stronger end of the enhanced Fujita scale. I also have hail sizes up around 2.5 inches or so. So again, it could be some baseballs in there. It's got some good turning with height. The winds are a little weak. It's at certain levels here in the lower kilometers, so that kind of is a good thing to see when it comes for a long-lived tornado. You'd want to, if you're going to have one, you want it to be short-lived. So that's what the model data suggests. Otherwise, plenty of instability, a low cap, and a fairly conducive environment with the lower cloud bases. I remember tonight the cloud bases are way up there. We're talking probably 1,400 meters or something ridiculous. Tonight, or tomorrow, they're going to be down around 600 meters or something like that. So that's very low for a cloud base. In other words, it wouldn't have long for that condensing column of air, spinning air, to reach down the ground. So a little easier in a tornado environment for that. Okay, so that's going to be in south central Oklahoma. Let's see. So just, like I said, on the south side of the city is where I would have it, right down I-35, and in this sweet spot here for the early part of the afternoon. That's basically south central Oklahoma. And then as we go through time in the afternoon, that activity would shift to the east. That kind of mimics closely what the Storm Prediction Center had, but it's just a little west of their hatched circle area that we focused on. And that's why you don't get too bogged down the exact lines drawn. It's going to be a general area, it could easily start 20 miles or 30 miles west of that area. That's how things can evolve with severe weather. Okay, so let me show you how this looks on a radar viewpoint. And let me go to a close-up view. Okay, so we got the storms here. Let's make sure this is right. Okay, we got the storms here tonight. And there'll still be storms overnight, by the way, especially across the northern half of the state. It's kind of scattered in nature. And as we head into tomorrow, it's kind of a mess, a cluster. And they still got storms even in southern Oklahoma that develop in the morning, just from nothing to something. So just a bumpy night overnight into tomorrow morning for Oklahoma. And then that activity, that first wave, kind of moves off to the east, to the eastern half of the state for the middle part of the afternoon. As we head into here's the 4 o'clock time frame, this model tries to produce a few storms right along I-35. So, it's got it right along that boundary. So, pretty close call, all the way down here to around the Norman area. And if you go onward time, 3 hours later to 6 o'clock, it's got on quickly moving into eastern Oklahoma. So this model doesn't have that scary look to it like other models can have. So it's struggling with something in the atmosphere that it doesn't like. And I haven't had time to figure that out yet. Too many things going on. So what we'll do is we'll look at a couple of the CAM models. These are also high resolution severe weather mode models. So for example, it's kind of got that, it has one storm tonight, which obviously there was more than one, but it had the idea at least as far as placement and severity. As we head into tomorrow, here's in the afternoon hour, so here's 4 o'clock. It's got that supercell type storm developing right here on the south side of, probably just south and west of Norman. And then that one kind of materializes to the east, 35, and keeps on going through McAllister and Poto and LaFleur, and it's out of here by around 7 o'clock, moving quickly out of the state. So this particular model does favor that region, but only has one big storm. All right, we'll go to another high-resolution model. We'll see what that one does. Again, it's got the storms tonight. Kind of the bright idea, but the wrong placement, a little too far north. We'll cut it some slack, though. As we head into the afternoon, here on the I-35 corridor. This is going to be around in Paul's Valley, Peola. So it's got actually south of Norman. So we're still favoring that little sweet spot of south central Oklahoma is what I'm alluding to there. And then we'll check out our it's supposed to be the best model we can make for severe weather. It's supposed to be. Again, it's got some storms here for tonight. It had one, and then it magically produced a few more thereafter. So it didn't quite nail tonight's event like the others. It had some flaws. It does have quite a bit of storm activity though overnight into tomorrow morning. That kind of lingers through the middle part of the afternoon, and it's got some redevelopment through about 3 o'clock here across, looks like again, Pauls Valley, Paoli area. So that seems to be like the favored area. So if you would have to narrow down the best shot at potentially seeing a tornado and again, large hail and supercell type activity, it would be from just about Norman down to north of Ardmore. So kind of in that corridor there. The way the model gives is congregated for tonight's data as things look right now. And that is because it's we're closer to the surface low, the dry line, the interaction of the best moisture for the best dynamics. So that's how things look. So that was kind of my focus that I want to share with you here tonight. We do have actually a new run of that particular model that they've been toying with on the research side last spring, and they turned it back on for this spring. And it's got that one cell. Got to zoom way in here for you to see it. So it's got that one cell still in that same general area. In other words, it's got the blow-off anvil and maybe some of the hail core in Norman, but it's got the potential, I use quotation marks, potential tornado aspect of it. It's on the south side of that supercell, and that would be south of Norman. Again, Paoli and Pauls Valley. Quickly moving east. So it's going to be a fast mover once it gets going. So it's not going to be hanging along that I-35 corridor long. It'll be in southeast Oklahoma before you know it. Okay. So that is what I have for you so far. I hope that was helpful. I kind of have to, do a few things. I gotta calm your fears, maybe over tonight's stuff, and then not get you worked up for tomorrow, but yet give you information so you can plan and prepare. So what do you do with that? Well, first off, know that tonight's big hail out there if you happen to get one of those big storms on top of you. And there's going to be more storms overnight tonight. So if you have anything sensitive outdoors, cars, plants, whatever. I know it's late, but you could always run out there and protect them or bring them in or put them under something to protect them. All right. Now, let me look here. If we are talking about, tomorrow, your focus needs to be, where's my shelter point? If I have to get into it in the middle part of the afternoon. So remember where we're looking, window roughly from around 2 to 5 o'clock. So not a late afternoon, but a mid-afternoon window for potential tornado development in any supercells that form the south end of Oklahoma City down toward Pauls Valley, north of Ardmore, in that little I-35 quadrant. So you know where to go. Center part of your home, lowest floor, away from outside walls and windows. If you've got a mattress and a bathtub, Andy, jump in it, put it on top of you. Kids, put the sporting gear on if they've got it, pads and helmets, all that kind of stuff. A good thing to do would be to use my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. So it'll warn you of a twisting storm alert before they actually happen, as far as the tornado warning is actually issued. In other words, it predicts the development of the tornado before the warning can come out. What that does is it gives you up to about a really 15 to 20 minute lead time to get all your belongings together, and then you'll either have the storm system move through, or then you'll have the official tornado warning comes out, and that'll provide you usually a few more minutes to prepare. So every storm is unique and different as far as how much time you're going to have, but this will give you the upfront heads up before the actual tornado warning comes out. And it'll give you a number, scale of 1 to 10 on the BTI. If it's a 4, 5, or 6, you better pay really close attention. If it's a 7 or higher, get in the shelter. That's just the way I look at it. I keep it simplified. It's going to, again, save your life. Use it. It's called AT's Weather to Go. It's a free Apple and Google Play. You can plug in many addresses that you want, up to I think 8 locations, but it'll automatically use your current location based off of GPS. So make sure you have your GPS location services enabled, because it'll warn you specifically. It's very specific on its warning system. Okay, so let me take a look at the radar information again. See if anything has changed. Let's see, let's close that. Give me just a second. Okay. So again, the healthy storms right now currently out across western Oklahoma, all the way just south of I-40, all the way down to southwestern Oklahoma now. So they're getting a pretty good speed on them. The closest one, Oklahoma City, actually the one that we had earlier around Tuttle, vaporized. A new one has taken its place. This is around Binger and Gracemont. This one has a southeastern direction with a hail size estimate of around, looks like 1.5 inches. It has what they call a tornado vortex signature, which in this case is just mid-level rotation. So the base height on this one is around 3,700 feet. But again, not a tornado warning, it's just indicating that the storm's got some pretty good rotation with it. And if I look at the different data within this, let's take a look. Alright, let's try this product. First off, yeah, those are all okay.
Severe hail detected.
Alright, let's go back to Oklahoma City. So the blue box you see on the screen is just the severe thunderstorm watch. That's the outline of where the watch is. So it's not a tornado watch, it's a severe thunderstorm watch. Okay, so this one here, loaded up data back in Central Oklahoma radar system. Not impressed with anything on the rotating side at all. So just a good hailstorm, and I don't expect anything different. Out here, you know, you could look at this and go, oh my, there's a hook echo with it. And I would say, so what? But it'd be right here. Again, it just means that's the development of what a hook echo looks like. In other words, of a supercell storm. Now tomorrow I see a hook echo and be a little more concerned with it. Tonight I'm going to go, whoa, it's going to have some big hail with it as a result of that. Let's look at some of the other things I could put on here for you. Right now, the biggest hail I see on radar estimated guidance is about 2 inches in diameter. So it's not overly huge compared to the 2.5 we saw before. So they may have come down a bit. So what we'll do is I'm going to go to the high resolution short range radar on this view, and we're going to look at that hill or southern fringe of it, this area here. So this is what we call a outflow dominated storm. All right, so you would be going, hey, there's a hook echo here, I'm all excited about it, and then I would turn on the velocity data for you and see that if your, we'll put the L here, if your hook echo was here, for example, the air out behind this storm has wrapped out ahead of it into this fashion, and then it wraps back in. So in other words, this is what we call the RFD. So in other words, it's outflow dominated, it's a gust of wind, and as long as the wind or the storm is in this configuration, which is an RFD gust front, well out ahead of the updraft area, you cannot get a tornado out of that. It's impossible. So even though it may look good on the radar reflectivity side, you have to look at the velocity data to see, okay, does it actually have a threat with it? So when you're doing storm tracks on this, and which we can do, we're basically just storm tracking hail at this point in time. So again, if you live anywhere where these storms are going to affect you, you're just going to have to expect a little bit of hail. We can do some of that. I usually don't cover this kind of stuff, But since I'm on tonight, I'll do it here just for a little bit. Okay. Minko on this storm, this is going to track the hail core. Now the hail core is funny. This is the back end of it. In other words, where the biggest hail would likely be. You're going to get some hail out ahead of it in the Anvil region, and that'll hit you within the next few minutes. But between now and 10:40, that's 30 minutes of hail for you guys in Minko, just so you know. Now, the track will continue to kind of go more south and east with time. So at some point, you might get out of the hail core. But it's going to be a while. I mean, you'll have little sporadic stones coming down for like the next 10 minutes, 20 minutes. You start getting some heavier core, especially in the south side of town, really. I think the hail core for this one is going to run south of 37, so it's probably going to be about like this for where the best hail would be. So kind of just bypassing you as far as the largest hail goes. So anyway, so that's an example of the storm around Union City. All these have severe thunderstorm warnings on them, and generic wording typically for severe thunderstorm warning is large hail damaging winds. All right, and that's large hail meaning anything over 1 inch in diameter and wind speeds in excess of 58. Speaking of, let's take a look. These are the estimated hail size. So estimated hail size out of that Minko one is about 1.5 inches in diameter. The ones out here west, southeast of Cordell, around Godibo. Let's see here, east of Rocky, a little purple area there. It's going to have some hail around 2 inches in diameter. And then the one south from there probably looks like about 1.5 inches southwest of Mountain View. Yeah, 1.7. So the hail size looks like in general have come down quite a bit. This one out here in Carter, hail size up around 1 inch, maybe 1.25 inches. Now there are a lot of reports of hail. There's 1.25 inches. There's 2.5. This was a while back. It looks like 805 or 905. Let's see. That's probably the biggest one I've seen so far. There's a 2-inch hen egg size hail out here near Eric, east of that town. So that's where the biggest hail was, right along I-40 and in those storms in their early stages. They've weakened quite a bit in their latter stages here as the hours have gone on. It's not nearly as impressive as they were before. What is this one? It's not saying. Here's one. Oh. 1.5 inches, 1 inch. So, again, those are severe storms. Again, 1 inch size hail is the minimum criteria, and or 58 mile per hour winds. Let's see what I can do here. Look at this guy again. Still outflow dominated. Let's take a look upstairs. So these storms are only about 40,000 feet tall. That's pretty low. I mean, we can see storms sometimes up around in the summertime, 55, 60,000 feet. They can be really big. Let's see, I don't want that. I want my hail. Where's my hail? Alright, so the hail cores on this one are in red. So even that one doesn't have a whole lot of hail. Looks like some of the cores are coming down versus being held up aloft. This back one, of course, is being held up under the updraft. This other front one's coming down from 20,000 feet. So yeah, that would be golf ball size, more than likely. All right, let's get rid of that. The other thing I think a lot of you have been conditioned on is being scared of clouds that just hang low. And a lot of storms are going to have clouds that hang low because we call them scud. It's little areas of updraft regions. And they can occur at any point in time, any point in location in a storm to where it can condense moisture and pull it up. So a lot of times you're like, oh my goodness, is that a tornado? Is that a tornado? Should I be freaking out? Should I be hitting the shelter? Not unless there's a tornado warning for it. Not unless like my app went off and told you to seek shelter. Not unless me or someone else, has identified a tornado or a developing tornado. So what that can though be is just a wake up to you. Is if you haven't paid attention to the weather, you might want to do so. That's how I would interpret that. Okay, let's see.
TBS cell detected. Moderate mesocell detected. Severe hail detected.
Let's take a look at this. So I haven't talked about the winds a whole lot, but there are potential for winds to come down in excess of 60 miles per hour. So these storm here in Oklahoma City metro region, in other words, just outside of town, potential's up around 60 to 65 miles per hour. These ones out here in western Oklahoma, they're probably similar. Let's see, there's 50 to 60. I think there was a 65. Yeah, so they're about all in the same ballpark. No one is much different than the other storm. All right. So my patrons on Facebook page, I know you guys are getting antsy. You're like, where's Aaron? Where's Aaron? Are you going to cut in? And just a reminder, I'll cut in if there's going to be tornadoes, or I anticipate tornadoes. And for like this kind of stuff, when I tell you there's going to be hail coming in on the forecast, just to be on the lookout. And there's not much you can do for hail other than just get your butt indoors and get all your stuff indoors. That's really much all you can do. And I can get on here and say hail 1,000 times over the course of the next 2 hours, and that's not going to change anything. I will kind of keep an eye on this one because it's close by the metro. None of these other storms, they've all gotten messy. Their updrafts have interacted with one another, and they've all just become multicellular. They're hybrids now. They're not total supercells at this point. They're kind of fighting over the structure issue. This one here is still out ahead of the rest of them, so it's got the best look to as far as the supercell goes. The one coming into Minko. And it does have that, what they call a little hook to it. Go take a look at that over here. Let's do this. Not impressed. Okay. I'm seeing the live shot on one of the TV stations, which shows the lowering. Doesn't mean anything, just so you know. Let's see. No other storms in the state. Just these cluster of guys out here west. So if you're kind of tuning in late and you didn't get to see what we were talking about, we talked about the fact we'll have some hailstorms here tonight. We're not expecting any tornadoes out of them for various reasons as discussed before. This one that's getting a lot of airplay because it's close to the metro is outflow dominant, meaning RFD, so it couldn't produce a tornado if it wanted to, even though it's going to look like a nice, hook echo supercell. So it's going to have good hail with it. Outside of that, that's the only threat it holds is a little bit of wind in that hail region. But in the forecast side of things, we talked about how tomorrow will likely be a pretty active day for more supercells over south central Oklahoma. So I'll just go ahead and skip to that slot. And that would be in the afternoon between the hours of 2 to about 5 here over the I-35 corridor from around Norman. It's probably just on the south side of Norman was a sweet spot to north of Ardmore. We'll call it about Paoli, Paulus Valley, kind of in between that little area, that little zone for supercell activity. It's where all the models have congealed for tomorrow. And that's because it's going to form along a dryline interaction from an upper system and then the interaction with daytime heating, even though we're going to have some storms kind of messing things up, which will work over the atmosphere a bit overnight in the morning. So tomorrow will be very messy. So it's a very small corridor of instability. So for example, this is how this would play out. And every model is a little different on where to place the surface low. For example, this has a surface low down here near Duncan. And so that keeps Oklahoma City on what they call the cold side. So you'd have something kind of situated, it'll be a pseudo warm front boundary, something like this. And then you've got the dry line that kind of comes down, something like this. And then so your sweet spot for storm development is usually in this area. All right, so that's why we're expecting storms here in south central Oklahoma. Now the models favor the surface low region for the best kickoff for supercell action and the best backing of winds. In other words, it has the best shot at getting a wind to go from the east, from a due east direction. So from a due east to due west direction, if it can get a wind field to do that, which is usually anchored toward that surface low, that feeds that supercell storm and allows a better shot at producing a tornado, which is why they kind of favor that area. I didn't show all the parameters earlier on. I can go ahead and show the significant tornado parameter between the different models, and we'll see how that kind of changes a little bit. So let me pick, what time do we want? 21. Let's just pick 21. Okay, so I just kind of picked a random time slot of 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Again, our focus will be on the dry line section. So pretty much if you run east and west along I-40 and south on I-35, your trouble spot is in that southeastern quadrant of the state. So there's the her on that one. There's another model. Let's see. Let's go to this one. To here, to here, it was a little messed up. There's more like it, that one, and that one. So the difference in the NAM, 3 kilometer, it just has that instability kind of getting up into Norman, whereas the other models have it just south. That's the only significant difference in there. But you can see the trend was all the same. So in other words, they all kept it in this little sweet spot. So that's why you got the best region for producing a tornado in the mid-afternoon hours, again around 3-4 o'clock in this zone, because of those ingredients coming into play. Let's see. So for those that are watching, if you haven't watched before, I cover the storms in more of a scientific approach. I tell you the hows, the whats, the why. And then I will not hype up anything or hope for something or wish for something that you're going to see in other situations. I will not embellish, and I will not make stuff up. And I see it all the time. And trust me, as a scientist in this market, it chaps my hide. I will literally just scream at the TV. So I don't watch it. I can't. It bothers me too much. Just the small pieces I'll hear if I flip because I'm not doing something at the moment and I want to see what the yahoos are saying, and I hear some of the terminology used, I just about lose my mind. So you're not going to get that from me, all right? You're going to get what it really is. And if it sounds like I'm downplaying something, it's probably because there's a reason to. So if some guy says, "Oh, any minute now, there's a lot of rotation. That's a lot of spin. Ooh, I'd be worried about that one. Ooh, I see something lowering there." And I come on there and say it's high base, every storm rotates, it's no big deal, it won't produce a tornado. You're going to go, "Wow, that's completely different." I said, so one's going to be truth and one's going to be TV ratings. And it's very competitive. Unfortunately, that leads to things being said that should not be said. But by far and large, you know, if you got to get information, you got to get it. So if I'm not available and you got to put up a little bit of that, you got to put up a little bit of that. But at least you get the information. It may not be the best or the accurate, but at least you'll get something. All right. And you'll see that more and more as you watch my coverage and the other. Like if you double box it, picture in picture, because you can broadcast this on your TV, and you can flip back and forth on the audio, and you can see a huge difference. Like you guys tell me that all the time. Now, I don't know because I'm doing my own thing, but you guys will tell me, I said, "He just said this and this," and Aaron says the complete opposite. Well, I don't know what to tell you. This is the way it is. But I try to keep everybody calm, cool, and collected, safe and sound, so you can use your noggin to make important decisions. All right, what time is it? It's about 20 after 10. Let's see. Oh, this storm has me bored. It's already come down in intensity, which means it's probably dropped a lot of its hail already. Let me take a look at that. Probability of severe hail. Good grief, where'd it go? 46%. There's inch size hail. That's barely severe. And see, I'm seeing a hyped up product which says 3 inches of hail on another TV station, and I'm just shaking my head. Whatever. That's why I don't watch that stuff. I couldn't take it. Seriously, I wouldn't be able to handle it. So the probability, let's see. A lot of lightning still though with this. All these little plus signs on the screen indicates lightning strikes. By the way, you can see them on that one. This might be better to see. Can you see them here? So these little plus things that are on here is little lightning strikes on the west side of it versus the east side, Anvil side. So these are mostly clouded ground as a result. All right. Yep, that's about time I hang this up. This one looks like it's already dying. Coming in the southwest side of town, it's just not holding together. The best ones holding together will be this guy here, going through Apache. Where's this one going? Oh, middle of no man's land. It'll eventually. It's a little funny about Oklahoma. You can go a lot of space with no towns, but eventually it'll hit Apache and Elgin, and then what's left of it around Marlow, Rush Springs. And then we'll see some new storms again develop overnight tonight. So, but probably some roofs, gonna get replaced out here in parts of western Oklahoma tonight because of this. So if you live in Oklahoma City, sleep well, sleep easy. I will. And then tomorrow, there'll be some rumbles of thunder, bumps in the night, and then tomorrow we'll see how things play out for the afternoon time frame. Okay, what am I seeing there? Hold on, I gotta see something. Okay, I'm seeing. Okay. All right. I think that's all I got for you, folks. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. What I have done is I've created like a severe weather center setup where I will broadcast on certain times live radar with the NOAA weather radio overlaid with a camera shot and or graphics for you. So in certain cases, you might see me go live with those things, whereas I'm not physically on the talking over that stuff. And that's typically like a placeholder. In other words, either A, I don't expect tornadoes at the time, or B, I'm taking a little break. So I may use it for different reasons. I may just use it just to have information so that you guys aren't all freaking out. If everybody else is freaking out, it's got you freaking out. Just that you know there's no reason to freak out. So I may have something like that going on. I kind of just mix things up. So we'll see. Every year I do try to do things just a little different and just kind of see what works and what doesn't. But I think that's about it. I'll pop around real quick. I didn't check any of the streams. You guys were talking. So let me check. I know a lot of you ask questions when I'm looking at the maps and I won't be able to see what you're saying. So let me go back and look now that some of you have already speak your piece, spoken it. Prince of Rain asked a big heavy-headed question for tonight. For an up-and-coming meteorologist to do in college, you need to be very well versed in math, physics, chemistry, and computer science. If you can master 4 of those, you're good to go. If you can't and you struggle with those, you better get good at them by some manner, taking extra classes or tutoring or whatever, because you're going to get your mind set on that stuff if you want to succeed. Y'all's YouTube names are hilarious. Sometimes I can't even pronounce them. So the question about Oklahoma City being in the clear tomorrow, it would be toward the late afternoon. So Cajun Girl, is AT's weather app only for Oklahoma? No, it is actually good for all over the whole U.S. So Adam, yeah, I was kind of leaning over like this. So they will move into southeast Oklahoma tomorrow. So Prince of Rain, no, actually my weather app works all across the entire country, and people using it. I actually have people using it overseas, so it works. The data is not so verbose overseas because I don't have all that extra bells and whistles over there. So I spend most of that here in the U.S. So Cajun Grills in Louisiana, I got you covered. Jennifer, you got to figure it out. You got to get those kids under control. Yeah, Brenna, I see your comment about the other meteorologist wish casting for a tornado out of one of those storms. You can wish it all day long, but when the atmosphere says otherwise, I don't know what you're going to get out of that. So Dashing wants to know how big you think tomorrow's tornadoes will be. The model data tonight suggests strong winds, which are typically an EF2 category. But this is tonight. Wait till tomorrow, see how things play out. Things can change quickly in that aspect of, predicting sizes of tornadoes or strengths of tornadoes. Hey, somehow, some way. That updated. Interesting. Okay, you guys on Twitter and Periscope, boy, y'all are very active tonight. Holy moly. You guys went on and on. That's awesome. Let's see. There are so many comments. It's hard for me to catch everybody, but I do skim through and try to pick a few of you. Do I have an accent? A little bit. It's a little southern in me. Yeah, the app works in every state. Good questions. So it's called AT's Weather to Go. It's Google Play and Apple. But you guys are on top of it. I like when you guys help out others that ask questions that were late or didn't get to see or miss something. That's very helpful. All right. So yeah, you can go to bed, Midwest City. I'm gonna go to bed here soon. Trust me, if I'm on and I say I'm bored with something, that means that it is not anything for me to even be on the air with, much less anyone else. That's your cue that you can go to bed, because that's usually the cue that I'm wanting to go to bed if I'm bored with something. All right, patrons, let's see what you got here. Glad you are checking in and saying hi. Some of your comments are always hysterical. Rhonda, you're welcome for the coverage. Yeah, Scott and Bethany, if I ever get a little worked up or actually say the word tornado and here it is and here's where it's going, it means there's one there sighted or radar indicated. All right. You're welcome, Jesse. Yeah, I know. We got to get more on that. Climate has been a little weird. You know what I'm saying? It's weird times. All right, let's go to the main page. You guys are still hanging in there tonight. Boy, there's no way. You guys have made so many comments. I can't see half of them. I can get the last 25 or 30 of them, though. Let's see. Scroll through. Oh, y'all having all kinds of conversations. Jody's piping in. Must be serious. Thanks for stopping by, though, and watching tonight, guys. Let's see. Lauren's already worried about Ardmore. Yeah, keep an eye on it there, Lauren. You got a very small window. The sweet spot, though, is north of you, as far as what the model's liked. And that's a good sign. You might be a situation where they're north of you, like toward Pauls Valley or south side of Norman or something like that. And then there's more storms across Texas, onto North Texas. Could easily be something like that. Thanks, Stan. Glad to hear it. A lot of you are heading off to bed. I'm not far behind you. Oh, Luke, I see you joined. Hey, man, I got your text, and I totally forgot to look into it. It was going to take some time, and I didn't have it at the moment, and I forgot. My bad. My apologies. Ashley, so-and-so on channel so-and-so needs to chill. Agreed. Oh, agreed. That's all I'm going to say. I can say so much more, and I won't, because I'm an adult. Let's see. What about hail in southwest Oklahoma City? What about it, Ashley? Now, there'll be a little bit of hail overnight in some of these storms that do develop. But as far as the big ones out there now, they are passing us by to the south and west of town. So they'll clip far southwest Oklahoma City. So technically, I mean, at this point we're down in Newcastle territory to Norman. So we're not really actually in Oklahoma City at this point for what's left of this storm down there. And the hail size with it came down immensely. They were up about an inch last I checked. It's just not a very impressive storm. Let's see. Let me do something. I'm looking at radar here off while you guys are staring at my face. That nice of me. You stare at my face for a second. I gotta go look at something. Yeah, there's still radar still shows about an inch. I was going to just go to bed or hang up, but I had that one last question, so I said, well, better go look real quick, just in case. Meantime, check something. Is that 9? No, it's 8. No, 7. No, that's 8. Let's try that. Okay, where was I? Yeah, still only an inch. Only. Inch size hail is not that big. I mean, it will do some minor damage like crops and stuff. It should not mess up your roof though, or put dents in your car. So keep that in mind. But yeah, there's not even any decent wind with this at all. I'm surprised this thing's still alive, honestly. Let's go take a look. Oh, hold on a second. Get that on there. Okay. Let me do this. This thing's such a cluster. It's got multiple updrafts. Still 30,000 feet at the most of around, looks like about 50 dBz. So yeah, about the most you're going to get out of that at the biggest would be golf ball size. All right. Whoa. I think I've had it. Let's close this. Alright, a lot of lightning with that one, but it's slowly dying. I have a little hail with it for a little while longer. And these guys out here, they're the ones that are really big hail makers potentially still. They've got the best shot. They've got golf ball size hail. Where's a little bit bigger. There's 1.75 inches, so almost 2-inch size hail around Alden. The one down here in Hobart, same kind of deal, south of Sentinel. So looks like some big hail, 1.5 inches. So those two are the best shot of hail. This one down here in central Oklahoma is going to continue to die. But see, look here. This guy here is new on the east side of the metro. Here's some new stuff developing in Edmond, north and east of there and west. So we're going to have new showers and storms bubble up. Either one of those could produce some medium-sized hail. You know, the tennis balls is over with, I think, but we'll still might be able to get some 1-inch size hail, maybe golf ball overnight. Most of it should be below that. So kind of in the 3/4 inch to 1 inch range would be my guess for the majority of the hailstones that come out of this overnight for the guys that get a hailstorm. Otherwise, expect some thunder, some lightning, all that jazz. Okay, so I'm done, my friends. So thanks for watching. We'll do this again tomorrow. So look for live coverage around probably 2 to 3 o'clock. I'll watch radar trends and we'll see how things go. I may hold off until 4. So I usually don't cut in until we get to that point to where it looks like a tornado may be developing. Until then, I might just put up that other thing I talked about. You'll see. You'll notice the difference. And then in that case, I may kill that feed and then start a new one so that new people can be notified. So we'll see. Play it by ear. See how it goes. Meanwhile, sleep well. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for watching. All right. We'll be here all spring season for you. So remember that, and be sure to like and share this video and so that others can know there's a different alternative approach to covering severe storms here in Oklahoma. Good night.